Okay, when you first show up to a door, you want to check the operations of it, make sure it's working, operating, closing. You can see that the weather stripping's failed as there's a tremendous amount of daylight coming around here. Here there's no gasket in there at all. So what I'll first do is grab my tools and remove all the old stuff. Okay, now that I've got the door perimeter removed, you want to check the doors for a sweep, which there's one there. And a lot of times you will not be able to get the door weather stripping off with, the sweep off with your drill, so you'll have to use a hammer and chisel and beat the screw heads off. I missed one. Once you have the old weather stripping removed, you want to once again check the operation of the door. Make sure it's latching. Okay, now that you've got that removed, we have what we call V-strip. It's a plastic vinyl we put in place of anywhere that we know there's not going to be any weather stripping. So for instance, your latch plate here and to here, we can't get any weather stripping. So you will measure it out. You want to go a couple feet past to make sure you got the full coverage of it all. Very simple with the utility knife. Just peel off the back plastic. And then always give your frame a wipe down, as it collects a lot of dust debris and this doesn't stick so well to the dust. Then you stick it so that the point here is pointing outward towards the face of the door. Now you can see I've got it going a little bit, about a foot or two past the latch plate, and the same at the bottom on either top and bottom. And then we will turn around and do the same at the top here because of the way the closure is. You can't get any weather stripping into there, so we will apply the V-strip there as well. Okay, so just like I did on the other side, Just cleaning it off from any dust, dirt. Get your measurement. And then any door that has an alarm system like this one does right here, we do not remove those anymore because we can never get them back 100% without fighting with them. So what you'll do is you'll put another piece of V-strip, and then when you come to cutting your material, you will cut around it and install your pieces around it. Okay, so now when installing your piece or getting ready to start cutting and installing new ones, we always start with our header. It makes the door look a lot neater at the final finish. So you'll measure from edge. Now this here I have the alarm, so I have to go to the edge of the alarm system. So that'll be 4 7/8. And then over here, I will go from the edge of the bracket to, once again, the edge of the alarm system. I then take my piece, measure it out, use your utility knife, score the vinyl, I will flip it over and I'll measure out the other measurement. So now that that is done, you can use your areas that you marked your vinyl. Cut your piece to the length. Find your other one. Cut that to length. And then I always hold them up to check to make sure they fit. Sometimes you'll have the leftover bit at the end here. That just gets cut off. Now to install. You want to hold your piece up. You want a slight compression. With a piece that small, you'll have to go with 2 screws, one on either side. And then you move on to your other side. Once again, slight compression. Hold your piece in place. Okay, now you just working your way across. Now you won't always be able to use the holes that are provided, so just the screws, if we use self-tappers, they'll just go right through. Okay, so now that I've got all my screws in at the top, just give your door another check. Make sure it opens and closes properly. There's no daylight, visible daylight coming through. You want to always check it after you install pieces to make sure that you don't, your door is still operational. The last thing you want to do is get to the end of the door to find out that it's not closing. Then you got to retrace all your steps back to where you started. So now that that's done, we'll do our long side. You'll measure from the floor, and because this has got the closure here up to the base of the closure, 77. So once again, I'll measure out my measurement. I will score the vinyl to where the length is, cut it. Once again, I always check to make sure it's right. Voila. Now that that's done, just to speed up the install process, I find it's easier to have both sides cut. So I will cut my bottom piece to the bottom of the door bracket or the latch plate. And then with your tops, because they are going to meet metal to metal in the corner here, we always cut our top corners on a 45 degree so they just butt up nice together once the final screw is in and it's all installed. To measure my 45, as we put it, I use just an old piece and I score it right across of the width of the material. And then you just cut it, start at the top for the angle. Cut I completely remove my gasket and line it up with the bottom corner edge. And now I can get my measurement. For your measurement, you're going to go from the metal to the latch plate. And then when cutting your piece, you'll go from the top half of the metal, where it's not 45'd in, and then just remove any excess pieces that you have as the rubber gasket overhangs. And then I check. When starting, you want to line up your piece nicely up in the corner. Once again, you don't want the gasket too tight. And then I start down near the bottom. You're not recording, are you? So now that I've got the one screw in, I'll try and go to the top and do the top one, and then if I need to, I can adjust this as this one piece with the screw. I can play with it a little easier. So go to the top. So that's in there good, but sometimes it has a lot of play, and so you can move it in and out as needed because you got more play with the screw there not being there. So, got that in. I'll just check my door, make sure it still closes, latches. Once again, I'll just do every other hole. Okay, so now I've got all my sides in. Just same as every time you go, check your door. Now I'm going to move over to my long side. I'm going to start at the top. And then once again, I'll jump down and I'll go every other hole just so I can maneuver the piece if needed. You get a shot down the side of the door, you can now see where there's daylight visible. And the reasoning I do every other hole now is because now I can push that in and close off the daylight. Now there's a little bit here, so I'll just adjust that screw now that I have the other piece around it closed off, and now my daylight is gone. Okay, now that I have my sides, my tops, everything in, door still operates, latches. Now I'll measure for my sweep. To measure for your sweep, you will go from inside of, or the outside metal and gasket where they meet. The same on the other side. So 33.5, and then I add a quarter. Start the cut, remove the tape. Now with your sweeps, you want to cut this corner here off on an angle, somewhat similar to what we did with the tops. It will now look like this. We will do that on both sides. Once that's done, you will take your file to it, remove any burrs, for that is it's going to be sliding in behind the gasket, and you don't want that to cut the gasket. Slide this side in there, that side. And you want it so that your corners come out, they're tucked, they're in behind, and the front corners are right behind or in front of the rubber there. Now doing my sweeps, I'll start at one end. And once again, I go every other hole so I can adjust it if I need to. And then one at the far end. So now once you've got your sweep installed, you're just going to sweep any debris up away from the door. Check your door to make sure it still operates and closes properly. Perfect. Once you're all done there, everything's closed, cleaned up, you will now caulk the perimeter of your door. We caulk it metal to frame. Just run a thin bead down. Like so. And then once again you just tool it so it's being distributed evenly. And then we do the corners. That way no air can move through the two metals. Down this other side. And then once again you do the bottom corner. And then I'll just need to apply a little bit more here as there's